Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, we're checking out the newest plugins from Kive Audio. Kive Audio is a newcomer to the plugin game, but they're starting off strong with a number of selections to add to your plugin arsenal. Today we're going to be checking them out on our mix bus and seeing what they can do. So let's dive into the DAW and take a look at Kive Audio. So here we are inside of our session, and at the recording of this video, there are currently 4 selections from Kive Audio. Right now we're looking at 3, and they have an amp simulator as well, which we're going to check out in a different video later. So the 3 we're checking out today are the Flik Channel, the Warmy EP-1A, and Tapeface. Up first, we're going to check out Flik Channel. Flik Channel is a channel strip plugin, so it has a mic pre-emulation, EQ, 3-band EQ actually, and a compressor. And that's the default order in them, but on the actual plugin itself, you can change the order on which the EQ or the compression happens. So if you're one who likes to compress first and then EQ, you can go ahead and just click on effects chain and it'll change the order going from the pre into the compressor and then the compressor into the EQ. But its default is the EQ in the middle. So pre, EQ, compressor. Up next is the Warmy EP-1A, and this is a passive EQ that you've probably seen before. This is actually based on the Warm Audio EQ of a very similar nature, the Warm Audio passive EQ. So you'll see that there's a few differences here versus what you would get on a hardware unit itself or from its 60s predecessor, the Pultec. There's a few more EQ frequencies that you can get on this plugin versus something like a Pultec. Same thing with the high frequency cut. There are more frequencies where you can actually begin your high frequency cut. And last but not least is Tapeface. This is a tape emulation. So again, you can get some saturation, but you can also get some tape compression if you're hitting it kind of hard. You can get a little bit of that tape compression that we're all used to hearing. You can also add in some tape noise or adjust the bias on this tape machine as well. And you may have noticed all of these plugins have oversampling available to you, all going up to 16 times oversampling. So if you're working in something like 44.1 or 48 and you want to adjust for any aliasing you might be hearing, you can go ahead and turn on your oversampling. If you don't know what oversampling is, I'm going to be working on one, so stay tuned and make sure to subscribe so you know when it comes out. So without going into each and every control, let's just get into how it sounds. I've already dialed some things in, but I'm going to go ahead and bypass a number of things so that we can slowly turn these things on and hear what they're doing to the sound. But most importantly, let's hear where we're starting. These 3 plugins are going from channel strip into the Warm EQ into Tapeface, but everything is bypassed right now. So let's listen where we start. So let's start off with the Flik Channel. On the Flik Channel, I've dialed in some sounds, and I actually bypassed the EQ just because it's not what I needed at the time, but I am using the preamp and the compressor on here. So let's start with the preamp. So you can hear, because it's on our mix bus and I'm driving it a little hard, we're getting some nice saturation. And I'm still volume matching. I've actually adjusted the output of this so that it's not actually just sounding louder, making you think it's better. I want you to listen for the saturation that we're getting from the preamp. With just a little bit of saturation, we're actually gluing all of the elements together and making them sound like one mix and one song. They were a little separated before, but now with just that little bit of grit, they're coming together. Like I said, I bypassed the EQ on this, but I am using a compressor and I'm just getting a little bit of compression. You'll see the gain reduction kind of bouncing. The percussion, like the snares and the kicks, are hitting a little bit harder, but I'm just getting a small amount of squeeze. Like I said, small amount of compression, low ratio, and all I did was adjust the input knob. The output is exactly where I needed it to be. I didn't adjust this at all. This is followed up by the Warmy EP-1A. I'm doing kind of a classic passive EQ trick where I am boosting my low end, and I'm also doing a cut to really tighten up the low end. And then I'm giving it kind of a smile curve because I have the frequency for the highs kind of way up there. I'm doing just a little bit of boost and it's super broad. So it's kind of this smiley EQ. I'll start off with this in bypass, and after a couple bars, I'll engage it. Again, I've adjusted the output so there's not this big jump in volume. I want things to be kind of the same when I'm engaging or bypassing them, so you're not fooled to thinking that it's louder and therefore better, because that happens for us sometimes. From the Warmy EP-1A, we're going into tape face, and I just have this driven in a little to get a little bit of tape compression, but I also have it linked so the output is dropped as well. I, again, don't want that volume bump. So we'll start with it off and then drop it in. One of the things I didn't go over was tape face actually has different inches per second, or IPS, that you can select right in the middle here. By default, it's at 15 IPS, but you can bring it down to 7.5. So let's do one more before and after. I'm going to bypass all of my effects on my mix bus, and then I'm going to engage them all. So you can hear a true before and after. So at the end there, you probably heard that there's a bit more saturation than we started with just the Flik Channel's pre. That's a combination of a few different things. I'm driving the tape a little bit harder to get a little bit of that tape saturation and compression, but it's kind of what I want for this sound right now. I can always go in and adjust that stuff later. So there we go. That's 3 of the plugins from Kive Audio. If you're interested in picking up any of the plugins you've seen, use the link in the description or the coupon code TimTalks to get an extra discount from your order. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. For more, visit timflansbaum.com, and if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.